Hi, everybody. It is July 12, 2024. I can't believe what happened in Vermont, which I'm going to show you. It is the destruction in New Hampshire, in Vermont, from Hurricane Beryl, okay? Wow. Do we need Americans to start asking questions? Could they maybe ask some questions? Like, how is it that hurricanes go on from the islands and then Mexico and then Texas and then all the way up and do enormous damage in Vermont, New Hampshire? How is it that people are just accepting everything that they hear? It is July 12. Lies, betrayals, it's just the news. Hi, Step Down. Did I get the movie? No, I didn't get the movie. I don't even know what you're talking about. Andrew Cruz, hello, Jake M, hey. Angela, Analog, oh God, oh, my brain is really taxed. Oh, understand this, stress does a number. It does a number on your overall well-being, not just your physical health. It does a number on your brain. And wow, when it does that number, then you're left with every day. Well, I'll speak for myself. I like my brain. I want to keep it going. So I try hard to keep it going. And, well, today, after last night, with the severe weather here, I could hardly read 2 sentences and remember what I just read. So it's one of the reasons why I'm not posting a whole lot on articles these days. Anyway, Alicia DeMoss, hello. Analog Synth Player, hello. D. Moore, Rage Against the Machine, and Cecilia Amirati, hi. Amelia, hi. Reppin' and Preppin', hey. Barb, Steve. Did I say hello, Rage? Yeah, brain. Start working. Louisiana Skywatch. I've thought of you often when I was pointing out the little strips of wood that they had for securing the tarp on the roof that didn't work. Yes, you are my teacher in making sure that you get a 2x4. The 2x4s probably would have held on to that tarp, not the little strips of wood that they used. Yeah. It's friggin', it's nuts. I mean, everything about life, as far as I'm concerned, has changed dramatically. And hardly, I mean, you would think that you would hear something, though I don't have a real life anymore. So I, here, my subscribers family they're not hip, man. They're just not going with what's actually happening. They don't like reality, so they ignore it. It's very upsetting. It really is. Okay, I didn't experience severe weather, and I shouldn't have been scared, and the tarp coming off the roof, and my God, thank God we didn't have torrential downpour, but the roof came off 2-3 weeks ago, so I guess that wasn't severe weather. Look, Okay, I didn't experience, according to Steve Ladner, there was no severe weather here. Um, Thank you for pointing that out. It sure did feel pretty friggin' severe, stressful, for a whole lot of hours. And yeah, how many times have I said now that I am grateful that the severity of what I have been experiencing here is not like the severity of what other people are experiencing, which I will show you. Nonetheless, it's considered severe weather when wind flips, and I see it literally airborne, a very heavy lawn chair. And then, you're looking at all of the tarp, and actually I was outside talking to somebody on the phone, and a woman in a red pickup truck drove by, but then she reversed, and she picked up, the tarp had gone onto her property, pieces of it. And, but it was very nice to have a conversation with somebody who, she sounded very, very nice as well. Yeah, I don't like listening to me again. I can only do it live, but I don't listen to the lives after they post. But I did, just listen to like 2 minutes, and it wasn't enough. But I don't know what it was that you were hearing. What I was hearing was, holy shit, please, please. So, 75-mile-per-hour winds caused a lot of damage in Houston. Well, I heard from my subscriber, Louisiana Skywatch, put in the chat yesterday that we had 45-mile wind gusts. And this morning, I heard from my subscriber that the mainstream media in Tucson and 14,000 were out of power. We didn't lose power. Thank you. Mainstream media in Tucson said it was 75-mile-per-hour gusts. All I know, 45, 75, it's scary. It's scary. And yeah, and I even said last night, I think about the elderly who are alone, having to deal with this very frightening world that has manifested. The move from here to vacate the house next Wednesday. That's the timing. Next Wednesday. And Ecuador. That's to a subscriber in Ecuador. All of this causes an awful lot of stress. Weather terrorists are killing the summer in southwest of England. So anyway, hello Louisiana Skywatch, Donna Davidson, and Chris, and Rufus, hey, Redhead, hey. Ezra, Oracle 11, hi, Julie, Jane Northrup, hi everybody, Wonder Why, Del Griffith, Shauna Howard, Sandra Pilar Gill, sorry. And about 10 minutes before the live, I was coming inside and I hear thunder off in the distance, but I'm like, could we stop this? Denim blue. Hi. I know you just jump in and it's a little, well, early in the morning for you, but really nice to see you. Very nice to see you. Very nice. All right, so, Carol, hello. Ah, so you're going to compare your severe weather to anybody else's. Steve, really reevaluate your thinking, okay? Because it doesn't sound like you could possibly be a compassionate soul for people who have not experienced caskets in the middle of a road after Hurricane Katrina. See, a whole lot of people think I get personally offended. No, I don't. But when I see comments like that, I think about who the individual is and how they are responding to other people in their life. And that gets us nowhere. It gets us more stress, it gets us more tension, it gets us more division, it gets us, where we are. Jeno, hello. And D. La Victoria, hi. Northern California. You have a place for me in Northern California. Really? Well, my email is just like, well, it's just neverlosetruth@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. I am not thrilled with Arizona. I'm not an Arizonan. I can't take this heat. I really can't take this heat. Hot in Minnesota now. Wow. So, look, I'm not somebody who gets scared easily. And even last night, the fear was there, and I'm thinking, this wind, yeah. Could it now blow off even more of the roof? Yeah. Thank God it didn't. It did actually shake the far bedroom wall on the other side of the house. And you can see that it's literally cracked right along the ceiling. Is that good enough, Steve? No, it's not. You got to see caskets floating by you. When God finally comes. I just want to say to God, and yes, I have my own personal relationship with God. I have questions. If I'm going to be seeing you at the pearly gates, kidding, but I have questions. And you know what? Because God gave us a brain, I think God is going to be able to handle that. And one of my questions is going to be, why were you so late? Or how about, why haven't you gone down yet? I don't have any image of a personalized God who's micromanaging everybody's life down here. I do have this idea that God is like a force. It's a force of good, and either you get hooked into that force of good or you get hooked into the force of evil. And it takes a lot of work, as far as I'm concerned. Well, it did for me. I had to really work on myself and to finally, and this is not ego. This is my personal experience of a raised consciousness, which was a wow. And that raised consciousness brought about Oh, so I said for a really long time how much I cared, how compassionate I was, and it was all bullshit. So when you do that work, you get to a place of generative care, and all of a sudden, it's like that force of good. Compassion gets ignited in you without you doing anything. It's kind of like a force that takes place. That's been my experience. Care is generative. You've got to do everything that you possibly can do to bring about goodness, to fight the evil. So, yeah, all right, that's fine, Barb. Um, so, anyway, hey, Tony Punch. I am now, it was late this afternoon that I started to feel a little bit of energy. Thank you. Don't even know how that happened, but I've been pretty exhausted, so thank you for saying that, Tony. Christopher James, 5:30, Aztec Warrior 211, and Silent Walk. So, I want to show you what the sky looked like after the live last night. It was probably one of the ugliest. What are we going to call it? A sunset? And then just a bit later, all this black stuff was just falling down. This was not rain. All of the frequencies that you see. Hi, sweetheart. It's okay, honey. It's okay. All of the frequencies. What happened? Look at this. This is what we're breathing. It is what we are breathing. So people are not questioning these skies?
Good.
Hi, Mama Rages. Thank you. Elizabeth Mary, hey. Look at these frequencies. And the camera goes out of focus and then snaps back in focus. Oh, did you hear that screaming at the end? Yeah, okay. I couldn't believe it. I'm outside and this white pickup truck is driving by and there's a woman in the truck screaming at the top of her lungs. Like, everybody's screaming. And I actually am getting quieter. I've kind of always gone against the grain, but everybody's screaming. Well, yeah, Amelia. So, that was the sky last night. This is radar right now. And considering what we've been seeing for past week, it's quiet. North Dakota has severe weather. I don't think caskets are going to be floating by, but yeah, severe weather alert. And I should refresh in North Dakota. And this frequency, I've seen this and I've shown it before, is a major dangerous radar pulse right around a lake in Utah. And I'd love to know what it is that they are doing right in this area, right around the lake. And look how straight-lined are these storms. No, Mother Nature does not work in rectangles and right angles and squares, and look at all of the frequencies. So we've got here North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, a wee bit of rain in Pennsylvania, but all right. This is not looking good in Illinois, whipping these things. Look at all of these frequencies. Nebraska and Kansas and Iowa, and look at this. AI, artificial intelligence, nanobot activation in Minnesota. You guys in North Dakota, be careful. Be careful. And Florida, you always have weather. I guess now we're bringing it in from the West Coast, pushing it to the East Coast. Okay, whatever. None of this looks real. None of this looks natural. Because it's not. Because it is not. So, hurricane season is about to ramp up again. I will post the link. Yes. We've got them going. More hurricanes. Let's just listen to a few minutes of, is it Weatherman Plus? Weatherman Plus.
Now we have some sneaky waves that's going to come through, and we're going to start going towards an active pattern after we get away from all this dry air and dust in about a week. So I'm going to show you the latest information so you know what is going on in the tropics. And I will give you updates as well. If you've never been here before, make sure you subscribe. I am all year long on my weather forecasting and other hurricanes like Ian and such. I usually give weeks in advance so people can try and stay alert and get prepared the best way they can. Make sure you subscribe. That way you are ahead of the tropics. Thank you all.
And I would subscribe, especially for those of you in the Gulf states, because, well, they already warned it was going to be a very active season. And we saw Hurricane Beryl. Well, that produced an awful lot of damage in an awful lot of states. But even if it doesn't look like much, it doesn't mean. Look, I'm going to show you Vermont and New Hampshire. Hurricane Beryl did this destruction to New England states, right? But first we're going to listen to Archaics, Just One Day to Descend into Chaos. Houston.
And here's the beginning of the second day. After we had one single day of bad weather. This is what I've been trying to tell my listeners. This is not a total systemic collapse of infrastructure. This is a temporary cessation. And yet already in one 24-hour period after a storm, every gas station and truck stop along Highway Interstate 45 from Huntsville, Willis, the Woodlands, Conroe, into North Houston is out of gas. I'm on Louetta right now, which is in Spring, a little bit north of Houston. There's a few gas stations that still have gas, but they're not on the interstate. You have to go on Willis a little bit. This is amazing how fast this happened. People are out panic buying right now. There's total blackout across Willis. I live way out in the country in Willis. We have power out there, but during the storm, during the 12, 13 hours of the storm, I was on backup generators. I have 2 generators on my property. And look at this gas station. Oh my God. People are lined up. They're lined up on 3 different adjacent streets just trying to get in here. This is incredible. Incredible. I passed the gas station. Now look how everything looks. Once I pass the gas station. Another gas station up here. It's amazing. Most of the gas stations that I've seen they all had it's pretty bad. I'm gonna go in here. Yeah, most of the gas stations I've seen, they've all had some yellow bags. They're showing that they're not selling gas. Sometimes they just turn the pumps off. I've been to about 12, maybe 13 gas stations and truck stops in a 35-mile area. Yeah, it's pretty bad, guys. Man, I just did that again. Just did it again. All right. I'm taking all these little back roads to get to the feeder. So much easier. But it takes one day, guys. One bad weather day in Texas. Shut down. There's been no internet for days. I haven't uploaded any videos except for that 6-minute video of the storm, but it took 8 hours to upload a 6-minute video. We just don't have any bandwidth. The internet's down. It's it's bad. Even my hotspots, they're no good. We got service vehicles everywhere doing all kinds of things. It's crazy. Here in Houston, North Houston, Spring, I'm really surprised to see some restaurants and stuff open, because there's none open in Conroe. It's total blackout. The court systems have all been shut down for 2 days. Probably going to be shut down the rest of the week. The courts require the internet anyway. Everything. It's like information blackout. Everybody can text, but we're having trouble calling each other. Even friends and family in the local area. My dad and I had to go get my dad and bring him to my property. Yeah, I just dropped him off. So I had to do that because it's just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Temporary interruption.
The link is in the chat. This is a 36-minute talk. So, and he's talking about one day and boom, all this chaos. Really? And Louisiana Skywatch, I saw your comment Were you referring to Weatherman Plus, that he also takes donations to help people? Because even though they don't talk about, and who the hell knows, are they so indoctrinated to believe that this really is just normal? I don't know. But if they're helping people, you got my support. I think it was it was definitely a hurricane, and I think it was a Cat 1. And it looks like it was still a Cat 1 in Vermont. Serenaded with dogs. New Hampshire.
Washed out. Look at this. Parts of New Hampshire and Vermont damaged badly by the remnants of Hurricane Beryl. The heavy rain and winds washing away roads and left some homes just surrounded by floodwater.
And as WBZ's Mike Sullivan shows us, the weather was so bad, even wildlife sought shelter.
It was just a year ago. Heavy flooding left parts of Vermont underwater, damaging businesses in Montpelier. For residents, this week feels like deja vu.
We've had 2 tornado watches, 1 tornado warning in the last month.
Brady Griffin and his wife Elsa own the Griffin in Waitsfield. Typically, he's tending to rooms and his little daughter Nell.
All right, you're on TV. You gotta act the part. So yeah, evening time rolls around and it is just a steady downpour.
Shortly before the rain set in, the inn had a visitor, just not a normal one.
There was a bear inside my garage that as I walked out, he crawled out, took a look at me, saw me, and then crawled right back in.
Brady's wife believes the animal was trying to seek shelter ahead of the storm. He thinks it's more about the food inside.
I think he was filling up for the storm.
By morning, their property was flooded, their backyard a moat.
We are surrounded by water.
And that wasn't that bad. Deja vu, central Vermonters. There were so many areas of Vermont that got hit so hard. Remnants of Hurricane Beryl. Bridges collapse, roads collapse, homes fall into rivers. Give me a flippin' break. Not you guys. Americans. Could you please start considering that we're at war. Start considering that weather is being used as a weapon. Start opening your mind to have conversation with your local conspiracy theorists, because they actually know what's going on.
Now, this weather system really split the state in half, the northern part seeing the majority of destruction. Some people in Plainfield and Moortown say Wednesday's flooding is the worst they've ever seen. Fox 44's Matt Holderman reports.
Well, across much of Vermont, a note of positivity you'll hear from some people is at least this flood wasn't as bad as the one year ago, but in some towns that's just not the case. In fact, it is worse this time around for some towns, including right here in Plainfield. Behind me is the Heartbreak Hotel. That's how it's known to locals, at least. It's an apartment building that has at least 6 to 8 units, and many of them are now uninhabitable. In fact, a lot of it was swept away by the river. In fact, some locals who I spoke with say this flood is the worst one they've seen in the decades they have lived here.
We have been in this house since 1986, and we've had 8 floods, 6 in the last 10 years, and this is the worst, hands down. We've never had flood in the front yard. Around.
Yeah. So that was Plainfield. Mad River Valley sees catastrophic damages.
In the Mad River Valley.
Yeah, this has been the July flood anniversary for last year, and today residents are also remembering the flooding that occurred last December, if you remember that. So they can't really believe that they're getting another round of this. NBC5's Sid Boulay is live in Duxbury tonight with some major damage on Route 100 behind you, Sid.
Brian, Liz, yeah, it just started raining again, but I'm here on Route 100 at the intersection with Ward Hill in Duxbury. You can see that this portion of the road that connects to the bridge completely washed out. Now, this is just south of Harwood Union High School. All across the Mad River Valley, rushing water causing big problems. As residents start to clean up and road crews fix washouts.
I got a couple hours of sleep and I've been in an excavator ever since.
Evan Thur is also a member of the Waitsfield-Fayston Volunteer Fire Department and helped put up road closure, fixing as fast as they can.
Look at this damage. Look at this damage. Now, the winds and the rain from remnants of Hurricane Beryl. Okay, so how about maybe electromagnetic frequencies that are used in these storms to bring about the destruction that you are looking at? My God, it's so frustrating.
Last couple lines of storms after 10 o'clock or so, I was watching them, online and going, well, the worst is coming, and obviously it was. So it was all culverts. Culverts just blew out one after another and just wiped out everything.
Plus a bridge washout on Randall Road, cutting off residents. Further down, neighbors are cleaning up and looking out for each other.
There's a lot of work to be done fixing. We're a very small town with a small but hard-working crew and limited finances, so this is going to be quite a project to get everything
repaired. Flooding in Plainfield rips of open apartment building, leaves widespread damage. And I hope that this is not the same. No, it's not.
Welcome back. Plainfield hit hard by last night's rains. The town was identified by state officials as one of the hardest hit municipalities across the state.
This is the view from SkyMax 3 looking over the damage in the small Vermont town. Sophia Thomas found residents picking up the pieces today for the second time.
I heard the rocks, the boulders rolling. They're bigger than Volkswagens rolling down the hill. It's this really jarring kind of grating sound and almost feel like the ground shakes.
In Plainfield, residents awoke to a different world outside their door. On Mill Street, an ancient bridge washed away, remaining pavement dangling dangerously over the edge. Locals gathered to gawk at the destruction.
This is kind of it. I'm kind of in shock. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
On the other side of the river, an apartment building known as Heartbreak Hotel is ripped open, revealing an intact kitchen. The rest of the walls in the river. Officials say 3 other homes, a mobile home, and several cars were washed away too.
And there are some people here, looks like they've lost everything. And it's just it's overwhelmingly sad. It's overwhelmingly sad.
Around the corner from the bridge, a thick layer of silt coats cars and fallen trees on Hudson Avenue.
Very quickly, the water was up on the porch, up to the door, pouring everywhere.
Some can't even access their roads. Scotty Harrison watched from her Brook Road home as an entire portion of the road gave way.
The road disappeared and we had to walk into the woods to walk around to get to where the next piece of pavement was.
Many residents say they were just beginning to patch up the damage of last year's flood, only to watch it wash away. Winona Johnson says her neighbors had just fixed their home when the floods hit.
I would walk past and see them, it's just a young couple and with a child and just changing their garden, changing everything, and now it's gone.
While stunned locals assess the damage, emergency crews are working to restore water to the town and fix several gas leaks. They say it could be a few days before there's water on tap.
While Plainfield residents are in survival mode, emergency management crews tell me they are working as fast as possible.
We'll see about that, but when it happens repeatedly, people can't, especially not in today's economy, people can't make it unless they have strong families. And by the by, I just want to read Fancy Free's comment, which reads, now, that's the brand name, now, super digestive enzymes will help. I lived in Arizona a few months. That's where my stomach problem started. Sorry, but Arizona energy is demonic. Tibetan centers seldom chant because of that. I don't know about Tibetan centers. I'm sure there are some around. There's something. Now, of course, I'm very new to Arizona. My stomach problem started because I didn't have this. You know, it was rare that I would experience the kind of, you know, what I want to call is agita, you know, surus, you know, it's, ugh. All right, and it hurts, so it's not fun. But I am going to check out the super digestive enzymes. Right now, my stomach is okay. It wasn't this morning, but it didn't last long. And sorry, I have to wait until I make note of this. Thank you, Fancy Free. Nothing feels right. You know, nothing. But again, I can't say, you know, what it's all stemming from, because my circumstances have just been collapsing, getting worse and worse and worse. So it's hard to separate out my own personal experience and then take an objective look. I do take an objective look because I'm looking at what's happening to all of us. That's not what I'm talking about. I will say this. Tucson leaves me feeling very, and when I've taken drives, gone shopping with my subscriber's daughter, she points out all of the really bad neighborhoods, and there's a lot of them apparently. So, but anyway, thank you, Fancy Free. I very much appreciate that little tip. Yeah, so yeah, so this Moortown, this too, I believe, is Vermont or New Hampshire.
A lot of road closures, one of those on Stephen Brook Road, actually left people stranded and essentially on an island yesterday, and still some people today. Town officials say it's going to cost millions of dollars to fix this damage and that they really need some federal help.
So they're literally stranded?
As far as I know, yeah.
The scope of this is something we haven't seen before.
The damage to Stevens Brook Road can't be missed when driving up.
This one's barely passable.
It is barely passable, but that's indicative of what you're seeing all over town.
Leaving some with nowhere to go.
There's people there that still can't get out. There's people on our Moortown Common Road and Moortown Mountain Road. They're still stranded.
It's one of many roads in flux after the most recent flooding. For the town of Moortown, it's their third severe flood in a year.
It's just Mother Nature just does not
has its way.
Has its way. Maintenance had been done, so they were clear of debris. But when you have storms of this magnitude, it just brings everything for miles into them, and this is what we end up with.
Now the town needs federal help desperately, ideally without the red tape.
You need to make sure this is declared a disaster.
Right.
As you can see, it's a disaster.
Something Vermont Senator Peter Welsh is trying to help with.
Could you please, anyone, comment how our weather is very different? Could you just say Yeah, we didn't have hurricanes. The remnants make their way up to Vermont and New Hampshire and cause all this damage. Any of you old enough? How about Gen X's and baby boomers? Throw in just, yep, I remember that didn't happen. Intervale. This is in Vermont too.
When I got to the Intervale at about 9 o'clock this morning, volunteers were flooding the parking lot, trying to save every ounce of produce that they could. Now, as you can see behind me, this entire parking lot is flooded and waters are continuing to rise. Things have definitely changed around here. You can't even get to the fields that those farmers and volunteers were trying to save. Let's take a look at what it looked like this morning. It's a race against the river.
I think we have very little time.
After a long night and inches of rain, the Winooski River begins to rise over the Intervale trails on Thursday night. Farmers watching a season of crops go to waste.
I feel powerless watching what has been predicted to happen play out in front of us, and it's only going to get worse.
But there is hope. As you can see behind me, volunteers and staff here at the Intervale Center are harvesting as much as they can before what they believe is going to be a flood. We're hearing on the radio that at about 1 or 12 p.m. that waters from the river are going to rise and cover all these fields. So right now they're harvesting potatoes. They got folks harvesting onions, just rushing to beat the clock. As tractors plow to make divots to harvest and contain the waters, the volunteers whisper fears of the future. They ponder how Vermont can survive climate change.
It's a little discouraging because it makes you realize that this may be an annual event and that. So sweet.
Oh God, that's so typical of Vermonters. Oh my God, they believe everything. They are so indoctrinated. It is such a liberal state. It's probably the most liberal state in the nation. It is. Vermont is a very pretty state, but wow, the people, and if you ain't like them, boy, they don't like you. Yeah.
Many farmers are going to have
climate change. It's all climate change. Rescue crews on their mission to save Vermonters stranded by floodwaters. This, okay, all right, you please. Okay, I need to hear some feedback, please. This is remnants of Hurricane Beryl. Remnants of Hurricane Beryl. And they had these first responders come up from Connecticut to rescue people in Vermont.
State officials say these crews rescued 120 people, 15 pets, and assisted in other areas during the floods. Similar to last summer's flooding, crews from out of state were brought in. This crew from Connecticut carried out numerous rescue operations in Berry City as water continued to rise, swallowing cars and leaving people stranded.
When it's this widespread, and again, the repetitive one-year nature of it, and seeing the looks on the people's faces when we're taking them out of their homes and their businesses of not again, it's pretty awful.
For many, that
How do you respond to any of this? Well, we all know it's a lie. Okay, it's a lie. And we all know they're using weather as a weapon. And boy, you would think that more people would begin to wake up, ask questions, maybe do a little bit of research. Or, hey, just listen to others that have done the research for you. It's easy. There's a whole lot of us out there who have videos on our channels. Yeah, playlists. Check out the YouTube playlists. Mine, weather modification, geoengineering, and other playlists. But there's a lot of channels. A whole lot of us have been screaming about this My screaming about it started in 2011. 2011, when I was still in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Ah, another liberal hub. Yeah, Vermont, Massachusetts. Ooh, wow. It's okay. So, but they will literally hit you with like a hostile attack if you dare to mention maybe it's not climate change. Maybe if you you send them links. It's happened to me. I had one woman in Great Barrington say, because I sent her links, articles that she could read about, from other scientists that were disputing the climate change narrative. She didn't want to talk to me anymore, and she said that I lost most of my credibility. I was like, okie dokie, thank you for being so honest. Now I know to stay away from you. Oh boy, they don't want the truth. They're so hardened. Their indoctrination is so hardened that they will attack. And they think they're quite right because they have so much support around them. You can act like a complete and utter asshole. You can act like, a hateful, immature moron, as long as you have all of the support with the same people who are acting the exact same way. That's why you got to bust out of your bubbles. Because people will keep you low. Barry was another town in Vermont that got hit hard.
Of the hardest hit areas with streets underwater and covered in mud. The scene looks shockingly similar to how it did 1 year ago today.
Yeah. NBC5's Stephen Biddix joins us now live from the north end of town, an area that was hit hard just last July. Stephen?
Yes, Brian and Liz. So we are actually standing in the exact same spot that we were roughly a year ago today. Many of the same homes and the same people affected by last night's rain. I'm going to step out of the way here for a second. We still have people this late in the evening mucking out their basements. We've heard water depths as deep as 3 feet in basements here in Barrie, and while city officials say it will be just as detrimental to the people it affected, overall the magnitude is not as extreme as last year.
It's tough. It's tough to watch.
The Granite City once again lies under piles of mud and water 1 year to the day after last July's devastating flooding.
It took
1 year to the day. Happy anniversary. Stromboli volcano explodes in Sicily, Italy.
Wow. 2 amici, eccolo.
Look! Oh, look!
Stromboli volcano unleashes spectacular eruption.
I don't go! Inferno mi chiamo, don't go!
The iconic Stromboli volcano, known for its consistent volcanic activity, experienced a significant eruption on Wednesday, July 11th, 2024.
I'll put the link in. You can check out the remainder of this video, but I also recommend that you link to these sites to keep yourself, updated. This is Undersphere. Ash and lava covered the city. Whoa.
The event, characterized by a powerful explosion, sent ash plumes soaring up to 1,800 meters, 6,000 feet, into the sky and triggered pyroclastic flows that cascaded down the volcano's slopes and into the sea. The eruption prompted immediate concerns for the safety of residents and tourists on the island. Responded by evacuating coastal areas and distributing protective masks to shield people from the falling ash.
Wow. The link is in the chat again. Look, they can create earthquakes, they can create volcanic eruptions and hurricanes and tornadoes and flash flooding and massive flooding and a whole lot. All one has to do is just do a wee bit of research. And Louisiana woman arrested after 1-year-old found alive in ditch. 2 days, a 1-year-old survived Hurricane Beryl. 4-year-old brother died. Found in the ditch, no family looking for these children.
Time is 6:47 into Lake Charles now, where police discover a 1-year-old baby alive in a ditch after surviving Hurricane Beryl. But unfortunately, the baby's 4-year-old brother was found dead close by, and now their mother is behind bars for failing to report the children missing. Deputies say they spotted the 4-year-old boy in the choppy water with no obvious signs of trauma and no family out looking for him. Deputies managed to get in touch with a family member who identified that 4-year-old and said he was last seen with his mother and 1-year-old brother. Now, after searching the area nearby, they managed to find the 1-year-old alive in a ditch in what they are calling a miracle.
And we look. Look, we've reached a point of evil that it's very clear. Very clear. I sure hope that you have good people around you, because people are radically changing. And yes, we could point to an awful lot of causes with all of the weapons that they are using, but they're not changing in a good way. So it's one of the reasons why, from my time on YouTube, I've always said, get community. You've got to get good community. You get close to people. You be trustworthy. You don't cause a lot of crap and drama. And you work together. You have backup with people. I really hope that some of you know your neighbors well enough that you're going to, you'll be there for them. They'll be there for you. Things are getting pretty wild. And the amount of children now that I'm seeing abandoned on streets, abandoned, for 2 days during Hurricane Beryl. Look, I have never had this idea that families were swell in America. But as I've gotten older, I've realized, holy shit, are there any really functional families out there? I think I know one subscriber who has that, but something's very wrong. And I'm talking about, I don't even know her. I've never met her in, face to face, but I, spoke to her for years. And it does seem that she has a very close family, which is very nice, and they're there for one another, which is really nice. I'm not talking about all of the people. You don't have to, well, I have a good family and I'm close to, you don't have to do that. I don't know you. I haven't spoken to you, okay? But I think we could all agree that the large majority of American families are so busted up with their crap that, well, and there are a lot of them. It's very, very sad. Children, that means that we've got that we're seeing a lot of this with the children being abandoned or killed or found here, there, and everywhere. I am afraid that it's just going to get worse and worse. And people will get used to it. They'll get used to it. I think a whole lot of people are now. They're just used to all of this violence, all of the crime. That means there's a loss of humanity within them. And what is this? What? Pray tell. Strange fire near Paradise, California. I will post the link. This is the Thompson fire in Oroville. And Brush Junkie has on, I can't remember his name, looking. She also posted today that there's another fire in Maui. Okay, so this man does the analysis of the fire.
Right next to unburned trees. Cars burning, trees all around them not burning.
That's Jeff Snyder too, which was included in this video.
Melted metal coming off of the rims. Watch the melted metal coming off of the rims of these cars, little rivers right there, rivers of molten metal coming away from the car. Burning right next to unburned trees. That still have their leaves on them. Here you see two cars burning and the house in the background. You can see the molten metal on the ground that's ran away from the back end of that car on the right. But these dry leaves that you can see still on the trees.
As you can see, he noticed the same thing that I did, and I want to show another video as well.
Crew in Butte County saw images just like this, flames jumping from a safe distance to just feet away from their vehicle within minutes, forcing them to...
And this repetitive pattern of houses and cars burning everywhere with the unburned forestry in between the houses is going to eventually reach an overwhelming point and the people are going to start to notice.
The wind quickly spread the flames to homes on Canyon Drive near Charlotte Lane. At least one structure destroyed and multiple threatened in that area. Here on Bessie Lane near Candy Drive.
That's a pretty good image. The home burning through all of those leaves.
This home is on fire now. The one right next door burned down to its foundation. And at the end of the block, we can see what appears to be another house on fire. A devastating feeling hitting close to home.
All of those houses that he pointed out had unburnt trees in between and all around them, just as you're seeing in this imagery here. It's the houses that are burning. Maybe someone will...
Yeah, well, the link is in the chat, and I don't know, maybe circulate the information, right? But what he said about, you know, paraphrasing, that this is becoming so obvious that people will begin to... No, they won't. Even if they do begin to wake up, to just even question the fires, the flooding, the weather, they won't do anything with it. Because Americans are children and they're scared. They're scared to go against daddy and mommy. They're scared to go against the official narrative, the authorities. They'll be punished. It's all a lie. This was really interesting. Now, we keep, and I've posted many videos on how utility companies keep raising their rates, You pay more, and they don't do anything. They claim that they're going to be maintaining the infrastructure, updating the infrastructure. They don't do it, but they keep raising the rates. Americans, how many times, if any of you have seen me, post videos throughout the years, have I not said Americans are schmucks? They just bend over and take it left and right. This is a very good example.
In the rural California community of Cool, wailing gas generators echo through the foothills for the second fire season in a row.
Yep, every time the power goes out, this has to come out.
Stephanie Buss and her co-worker have to beat the punishing cool heat.
The 9 notices I received, the power will be out always 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
But their power's been shut off by PG&E again.
The first one was May 1st, then May 4th, then May 10th, May 18th, May 21st, May 28th, May 30th, June 7th, and June 10th.
Frustrated, Stephanie reached out to us. She already lived through shutoffs like these last summer when PG&E sent crews out here for this.
To make our power system safer and more reliable, we're transforming your hometown utility from the underground up.
After sparking fires that killed more than 100 people and burned down tens of thousands of homes, PG&E ran ads on TV, including on ABC 10, to promote its plan to bury power lines underground. It's meant to keep trees from falling on live wires, which is how PG&E's grid sparked most of those fires.
Since 2021, we've buried hundreds of miles of lines, with thousands more to come.
I was very happy when I saw those commercials coming out saying they were going to do this, but what I see is not what they promoted on TV.
After PG&E started undergrounding its lines here on Indian Rock Road, the neighbors were shocked to see PG&E suddenly stop, pull those power lines out of the ground, and shoot them back up into the air. The crews PG&E sent this summer are all working above ground, putting new bare metal wires on top of new PG&E poles on this dry, tree-covered hillscape.
Does that feel like what, false advertising?
Absolutely, 100%. Well, they said they were going to underground all these lines. I was excited about that, but apparently their cost became too great. I don't know. They stopped.
Now that PG&E's done burying the lines here,
I'm going to reset my odometer here where the power line comes back out of ground and drive up to the spot where it goes underground.
Stephanie helped us measure. Of her 4-mile drive into town, how much undergrounding did PG&E actually do?
So we're at 0.3 miles. We got 0.3 miles underground. The rest is still above ground.
If the idea is fire safety, the safest thing would be to have no poles and no wires over your road.
Correct. But
and
we
what do you have?
We have more poles. Now we have poles next to poles and lines next to lines.
Sure enough, on the majority of Stephanie's road, we saw new PG&E poles standing right next to the old ones. Still there, with the tops chopped off and the old AT&T phone line attached.
During fires, poles fall down. You got lines across the road, so why didn't you do what you said on TV with all those ads? Why isn't my road system underground?
That's what Stephanie wants to ask PG&E's CEO, Patty Poppe, about the ad campaign.
Undergrounding power lines in the highest fire threat areas makes us safer, and it's less expensive in the long run.
Well, Patty lied on TV that everything was going underground.
Patty Poppe, who's been making promises in all those commercials that you and I are paying for, because the ratepayer pays for those commercials. Those promises are all false.
Loretta Lynch is a former state utilities commissioner. She used to regulate PG&E and its rates.
What's really happening is PG&E is proposing actions that pump up their profits, pump up their bottom line.
We contacted CEO Patty Poppe for this story. She didn't agree to take our questions.
Her salary, what I hear, is outrageous. So they're raising our rates to pay somebody a lot of money instead of making it safe for us.
Poppy's public relations team told us PG&E uses computer modeling to decide which miles of lines it's going to bury. Other miles get new poles meant to be stronger, which we saw on Indian Rock Road, or wires covered in protective plastic, which we didn't see.
It's still greed, I feel, because they've raised our rates and they're making all that extra money.
Greed was the motive named by local and federal prosecutors who together convicted PG&E of 91 felony crimes during the past decade.
All right, so following the fires in California, PG&E taking responsibility for igniting some of those fires, and it was my opinion that they were doing that to get people off the directed energy weapons, the plasma, the nanotechnology, all of the methods that they have to create these fires. But I also posted a video, and I think it was on Never Lose Truth, and it might still be there. There was so much corruption going on. PG&E, with their felonies, had to pay an enormous amount of fines that went to politicians, and they just got it back. Okay, so yes, and I've been noticing, Linda, that there are an awful lot of PG&E and other power companies in California that are sending out notices. Oh, you got to cut off the power for long amounts of time because of the heat wave. That's the only way that you'll, be able to be spared these fires. We all know that that's bullshit. I mean, California has had so many fires already this year. Oh man, it just goes on, right?
Including the San Bruno explosion and PG&E's criminally negligent sparking of the deadliest wildfire in California history, the 2018 Camp Fire. PG&E pleaded guilty to 84 felony counts of manslaughter.
Our government, state government.
So why is it still operating? Why is it still operating? When are Americans going to start to realize that they have been so taken, that they're being abused, betrayed, lied to, gaslighted, scapegoated? How much can you take? Apparently, quite a lot. And it's humiliating. It is absolutely humiliating. You're humiliating yourself when you don't stand up for yourself. I'll put the link in. There's a few more minutes, but it's just, yeah, get out, please. Just burst your own bubble. That's why I posted the video, the title of the live, Burst Your Bubble. And I meant to, but I posted the live before. I meant to say, because if you don't, somebody else will. And it's a little bit more shocking when somebody else does it. It's hot. Somebody else does it. Make a choice to burst your bubble. And that includes the awake people, because there's an awful lot of comfortable awake who still are living in a bubble. They know far more than the willfully ignorant. We know that. But they're not grasping the real big picture of how much destruction is going on a daily basis. And when you look at this and you see it all accelerating, you know it's coming to your door. And this, Houston is quickly resembling a Katrina-like catastrophe.
New at noon, Centerpoint giving us now a major update on power restoration. A company executive sharing that 500,000 customers still will not have power until sometime next week. This news coming during a Public Utilities Commission hearing. Take a listen.
That leaves about 500,000 customers that we currently expect to have outages that go into next week.
Our Devon Raming is following this story. He joins us now live with the very latest. Devon, what can you tell us?
Well, Sherman, Centerpoint tells us that 400,000 more customers will have power by Friday, and another 350,000 will be back up and running by end of day on Sunday. Now, yesterday we spoke with Centerpoint Energy Vice President Darren Caro, who says they're working as fast as they can while still addressing issues with the company's outage map, which has caused so much frustration despite countless complaints about incorrect information and about outages and restoration. The company says it's paying close attention now to accuracy.
We're making adjustments to the map as we speak. The other thing I want customers to know is even if you see yourself in that green on the map, don't worry, we know you're out of power and we are going to get to you.
Last night, KHOU 11's Jeremy Rogowski asked Carol about complaints that power crews have been sitting for hours in staging areas not doing repairs. He said he couldn't speak to individual situations where crews were waiting to be dispatched, but he said all the company's outside crews were now in place, allowing them to get crews on the road and working quicker. Of course, we're going to have much more on these restoration efforts coming up this evening in our later newscasts. For now, live in Houston, Devon Raming, KHOU 11 News.
What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Oh, the candle ain't lit. I'm gonna leave it over. But anyway, check it out.
Oh, wait, he actually, I thought I had this set up properly, but I didn't. So let's just listen to a little bit more of what's happening in Houston.
So the KHOU 11 Investigates team did some surveillance work today. Here's Jeremy Rogowski.
We had eyes on 3 staging areas. Our photojournalist was up in Tomball. I was across from the Katy ISD football stadiums, and we spoke with an out-of-state line worker who was stationed in Galveston. It's 8 in the morning at this Katy staging site, and we picked 3 random trucks to keep an eye on. This green tree trimming truck and these 2 white bucket trucks. Down in Galveston, we checked in with our lineman who asked not to be identified. How long have you been on the clock?
6 a.m.
It was almost 9 a.m. when we talked.
Now we're sitting in a parking lot.
Sitting and waiting?
Correct.
Waiting for his work orders. An hour and a half later, he texted, still nothing. And an hour after that, we got work now. Meanwhile, up in Tomball, we tracked how many trucks left this staging site over 3 hours. 21 the first hour, 30 the next hour, and 22 the third.
67.
The parking lot still had plenty of trucks when we left. And back in Katy,
Just past 11, and our 2 trucks are still here.
those white trucks didn't take off until 11:33. And as for that green tree trimming rig,
Our tree trimming truck's still there, and it is just after noon.
it would be another 26 minutes before it took off. And by the time it made it to the job site, the first tree branch was cut at 1:18 in the afternoon. Darren Carroll is Centerpoint's Senior Vice President of Operations.
Viewers are saying, I see all these trucks, but wonder why are they in this parking lot and not out in the field?
It's a fair question. Totally empathize with customers thinking that and wondering that. What I will tell you is that safety is at the forefront of everything that we do.
Carroll.
Safety is at the forefront of everything that they do. Well, having read, and I posted this on my channel, Never Lose Truth, having read some of the comments, all of these people have safety training and already. Okay? So they're having all of these people sit in parking lots. They're not getting work orders for hours and hours and hours, while so many in Houston are suffering not having any power because they have to keep these linemen safe. Like, I guess they just started the job. Like, it's a new job. What? We need to stop listening to horseshit. We really do. And people need to start getting angry. Do I mean enrage? Do I mean destructive anger? No, motivating anger. You're being shit on. Okay. The link is in the chat. And shall I call him a content creator? The dynamic reason? Yeah. I mean, it what are we doing? What the hell are we doing? Why aren't people alive anymore? Extremely disappointed. Residents say street left to fend for itself. This is Canada.
But God, the house is gone.
I mean, the street was littered with glass and debris.
Residents here on Camrose Bay, affected by an explosion that leveled this house on a Transcona street, say they need more help in terms of both support and cleanup, saying that it's been the neighborhood left to deal with it.
No, it's frustrating because you don't get any answers from anybody.
Remains of the house, destroyed June 26, are still scattered on the now fenced lot.
There's 14 houses affected by this blast.
Tom Nesby says the explosion set him back thousands, and it was those in the neighboring houses who cleaned up the street while also dealing with their own damages, saying he's still waiting for a street sweeper to hit the bay.
Extremely disappointed, to say the least.
Brandy Nevis, who helped her elderly neighbors clean up and later called out government leaders for a lack of action, says the blast literally left the block shaken.
We have fires in the city all the time, and it's extremely unfortunate, and I feel for all those people. But when a house explodes on a quiet residential street, it brings out a lot of fear that you don't know that you have. It's fear of, is this going to happen again?
She says the post did achieve its objective and has now directly brought the concerns to the mayor. And while she's happy the issue is getting attention, she says everyone is still waiting for the investigation to conclude.
Nobody's given us any answers.
A city statement said crews conducted an initial cleanup and have returned to inspect for remaining debris, saying if residents have concerns, they're encouraged to contact 311. In Winnipeg, Morgan Majeski, City News.
Governments just don't seem to be operating the way a whole lot of people think that they're supposed to be operating, right? Yeah, so again, I am going to post this link. 15-minute city. This was in Ontario. Very good talk. 8 minutes from a man who knows what he's talking about. And it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Smart cities explained in 101 seconds. Dark waters. Just came across this video today. I'm going to play just a few minutes. The link is in the chat. So let's hear what this man has to say.
You into a smart city, which is what they are building all around you. They are building what I would call a digital prison for you. And when I say they, I think we've established, quite frankly, who I mean when I say they are building a digital prison for you. The vehicles in which they are pushing, the autonomous driving vehicles, the quote-unquote flying vehicles, each and everything that these people, these lizards are pushing is designed purposely to enslave you. Do not for one second think that what I'm saying is a lie. It is of the utmost importance that you understand this one simple fact, that they are trying to enslave you. And that they started with the red light cameras on every corner, then they moved the crime cameras on every corner, simply slowly building out the infrastructure all around you. 3G to 4G to 5G, which soon people will be having 6G. And when you combine the fact that everyone and their mama gets so excited when the newest iPhone comes out, the iPhone X9 2038 ZP LG Dege Symbol T has came out. And I gotta go get it. We have been utterly destroyed when it comes to technology. What's the difference between last year's iPhone and this year's iPhone? A couple of more gigabytes of data? A better camera? Really? The average person don't use that damn camera for nothing but to snap photos of their family members and friends. But you spend $1,400 on a phone, and you never once thought to yourself, hey, why is this damn phone $1,400? What is in this phone that cost me $1,400? Nope. You don't think about that. I just need to be a part of the in crowd. I need to be popular. I need to be cool. I will be awesome if I have this phone. I submit this to you, ladies and gentlemen. Destruction waits on the other end of this. I mean, total and utter destruction waits on the other end of this.
Those of you who get goosebumps thinking of completely transparent cities of the future, big data is far from being futuristic.
Now, the man said big data is far from being futuristic, but then he shows you a camera that is looking at each person and pointing in a direction as to where they're going.
I think it's really the lifeblood of cities today, and will be the bricks and mortar that we use to construct cities in the future.
This is Dr. Anthony Townsend. He's an expert on urban tech innovation. Cities without data, for him, unthinkable.
We orchestrate our lives and our communities and our societies with algorithms, and those algorithms...
Nope, stop, pause, let's say this. We do not orchestrate our lives, our cities, and our communities with algorithms. That's not true. That is a lie from a little ugly lizard person that someone has highlighted and elevated to a point to where he has some form of credibility. Do you orchestrate your entire life around an algorithm? Is it? Do you orchestrate what you're going to eat in the morning? Whether it's going to be eggs or bacon around an algorithm? Do you orchestrate the route that you're going to take your kids to school every morning around an algorithm? Do you need your GPS to get your kids to school? The GPS in your car on your phone? Do you need a GPS to get to your mama house? You know where your damn mama house is. You know where your kid's damn school is. What the hell is he talking about? We. See that we? It don't include you and me. It's him and his folk. Because if he can be the architect of the big data cities of the future and just get you to go along with it, and guess who becomes a wealthy beyond his wildest dreams? He does. And see, this is how people have to call these dudes out.
Operate on data that is sensed through digital technologies.
Anthony sees a city as an organism with a nervous system that collects signals to constantly learn and respond. The continuous addition of new technologies is immensely important for this.
All right, so I'm going to post the link. I did subscribe to Dark Waters because, well, he has a great way of delivering information, extremely articulate, good videos, so I am a happy subscriber so far. I posted the link. You might want to check out his channel and circulate. Hey, it's never too late to circulate. It'll do your soul good. You take the action, you let go of the results. You ain't responsible for the results. So how about that nervous system? How about a nervous system of human beings? And I will post the link to this video, to this article, this video. The link is in the chat, global research, and I didn't get a chance to read it today. AI systems which manipulate the human nervous system, your thoughts, your emotions, your perceptions, and derogate fundamental human rights. Well, humans. The derogation of humans. The degradation of humans. And eventually, this technology will control a whole lot more, because it's already controlling. It's already controlling. So I'm leaving this open because I do want to read it. It should be banned outright. Open letter to the European Parliament. The open letter prohibit the use of AI to remotely control and or decode the human nervous system with electromagnetic waves, directed energies, potential waves, non-local photon or electron connections, or any other energies without explicit consent. Yeah, that's a happening thing. Sorry, but it ain't happening, and we know it. So what is this? The world continues to get darker as America are now releasing genetically modified mosquitoes into the environment. NPR declared that genetically modified mosquitoes has successfully vaccinated people. There ain't no escape.
Genetically modified mosquitoes have gotten the green light to be released in America. They say these mosquitoes, they don't bite people, they just mate with the females, and they're modified so that the offspring die off. The lethality gene they put in, it actually doesn't kill all the mosquitoes. It only kills the females. The males go on living. In other words, the GMO mosquitoes do bite humans. Some of the programs are about using the mosquitoes for other things, like vaccinating people against their will. In September 2022, NPR declared that the researchers had successfully vaccinated people using these GMO mosquitoes. One of the lead scientists on the program told the publication that we use the mosquitoes like they're 1,000 small flying syringes. Well, look, what's the big concern here? Well, partially true narratives are being used to roll out a program to release GMO insects. The program does not have a lasting effect. And even beyond that, the programs are linked to others that could be used to involuntarily vaccinate people.
Wow. The link is in the chat. And I just want to, acknowledge that something's going on in the chat. Killer Drums, what is your problem with Mama Rage's links? Killer Drums? Love to know. No one is requesting money, Killer Drums. Sharing a link to my PayPal. And do I need help? Yeah, I do. Do you have a problem with that? Goes directly to me instead of somebody creating a GoFundMe. So what is the problem that you're having? And why create all of this nonsense in the chat? Which it is, nonsense. I mean, didn't I once help you with donations, as I have said, that throughout the years, it took me 8 years. I mean, everybody, look, I understand that there are people out there that are scamming and stealing and yada, yada, yada. Okay. I didn't have anything to do with that GoFundMe. Nothing at all. So, I'm just going to stay with what I have been doing. But it literally took me 8 years listening to subscribers scream at me, just put down, some way to donate. 8 years. And boy, do you get friggin' hell from people for even just asking for a donation. I'm not somebody who's on this, these lives or in my videos, asking for donations. I just simply have, one sentence or maybe two with the thank you. I don't know. That's it. That's the extent of it. But Killer Drums, you should know that those donations that I have gotten in have also helped other subscribers who have been in need, you being one of them. So I don't understand why you're having difficulty with a moderator posting my PayPal link. Thank you, Mama Rages, for doing that. I think I might get, if I get about $200 a month, I'm lucky. So, yeah, I mean, my God. It's just craziness. And this, thousands of patients possibly exposed to HIV, other diseases in hospitals. I'm just going to post the link if you have any interest in it. And post a link to, this was sent to me by a subscriber. 98% of people, I don't know how people come up with these percentages, but hey, people have no idea this method exists for 15 minutes manifesting money. There is powerful manifestation technique. What the hell is this? Wait a second. Let's see.
This lack of oxygen in our atmosphere. We want to get rid of the radiation. This, of course, is my own interpretation. Remember, what I'm telling you is my own findings, my own interpretation, my own experience. Soda and salt will neutralize any type of radiation, usually. Your X-ray, any of it. Now, the portion that you use a bath. You know, in the olden times, they used to get in the bath for almost everything, and they weren't wrong, believe me, and I think we're going back to that. So you take a tub of hot water, and I mean a tub full, all it will hold, water as hot as you can stand it comfortably, and stay in that water until it cools down to body temperature. Now, the heat brings all that to the surface, and when it cools, osmotic pressure brings it out into the cooler side. We're taking a therapeutic bath. Now, when we get this low-grade radiation, we leave the salt out and use just soda, baking soda, Arm & Hammer. And
just want to say Arm & Hammer is filled with aluminum. You have to get aluminum-free baking soda, which, what is what I have? Oh. Bob's Red Mill. I don't want to open it right now because okay. And a lot of supermarkets actually carry this, you know, in their health food section. Arm & Hammer is filled with aluminum. And the subscriber suggested there's no way. I would die. I would die sitting in a really hot bath because it's, well, I'm not somebody who can do hot tubs because I literally feel like very quickly either my body temperature goes down or up or whatever. I don't feel good from hot tubs unless they're a little bit cooler. But I would have to wait until cooler weather to do that. But I will post a link because
okay, this is how
I think people might want to try it. The link is in the chat. Yeah. And Arm & Hammer used to have this non-aluminum, and it was in a can, baking soda. And suddenly, I could find it nowhere. I guess they took it off the market because they want to hit you with an arm and a hammer. And yeah, things are going wrong for an awful lot of people. Just 2 minutes of this. This woman is talking about how she got delivered the wrong manufactured home. Everything, it just feels like everything is just going wrong.
Subscribers, thank you for joining me in another video. As you all can see by the title, yes, they delivered the wrong home. We were so excited, you guys. We were so excited to, for them to be bringing our brand new manufactured home and putting it on our land. It seemed like it just took forever for them to put it on, to bring it, ever since we did the contracts and signed the paperwork and everything. And you guys, when we got the call that they was getting ready to bring our home, we were just so excited because we knew once this home gets on the land, everything else will start falling in place. And you guys, we were so excited. We got a call saying they was bringing it home. They wanted us to be there so that we can show them where to put the home and everything. So excited. And guys, as they was putting the home out there, something just didn't look right. The placements of the windows, the doors, something just didn't look right. We decided to go look at the front part and look through the windows, and lo and behold, you guys, the wrong home.
I feel bad for them. The link is in the chat. The wrong home. Now they have to wait a longer period of time. Rising rents lead to spike in evictions in Arizona's Maricopa County. They have the most evictions anywhere else than anywhere else in the country.
We're in the midst of an affordable housing crisis. And as rents increase nationally, so do the number of eviction notices. According to the website Zillow, rents have jumped more than 30% from pre-pandemic prices. In tonight's Eye on America, CBS's Chris Van Cleve reports from one of the hardest hit counties, Maricopa County, Arizona, where a tsunami of evictions is leaving people homeless.
When Mahogany Kennedy knocks at a door in Phoenix,
Constable! Does the person understand that they're getting evicted?
It usually means someone is about to become homeless.
Grab your bag. We're going to change the locks.
She's one of 26 Maricopa County constables. It's her job to serve eviction notices.
eviction numbers have truly gone up over the past few months.
So pretty much every day you're evicting people?
Every day I'm evicting, 5 days a week.
On this day, she'll attempt to serve 3 evictions.
She's gone.
Including at this apartment.
And then, well, this is a 3-bedroom apartment.
Which used to be home to 7 people.
You can use my phone.
Heaven Glasgow was the last to leave.
Just trying to get it together. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a lot.
It is, and everything is just so expensive right now, which is crazy.
Eviction filings in the Phoenix area are surging to record highs.
You know, I was just like, not today. Not today, please.
This judgment does say that you need to move out by the 26th.
In her South Phoenix courtroom, Judge Anna Huberman hears as many as 500 eviction cases a month, more than when the pandemic-era eviction moratorium ended 3 years ago.
There was a belief that there would be a large number of filings, that the evictions would go up, and they did not go up. There wasn't a tsunami.
Do you think you're getting that tsunami of evictions now?
That's what it appears to be, yes.
Since March of last year, Maricopa County has led the nation in eviction filings. The numbers are up 21% here compared to pre-pandemic, topping 83,000 filings. Nationally, about 3.6 million evictions are filed annually, but what's changing is where they're happening. At least 14 cities have seen double-digit increases from 2019. Most are in the Sun Belt, where populations are growing and rents are rising.
It's parents and children who are at the heart of the eviction crisis.
Dr. Carl Gershenson runs the Eviction Lab at Princeton University, which tracks the issue in 34 cities.
So these families are just one unexpected expense away from eviction.
All right. Yeah. People are being put out on the street. People can't afford rent, can't afford paying their bills. And I saw this headline that 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. You know what that means? We've got a lot of stressed out Americans. You know what that means? They're going to start getting very angry. We have been a rather privileged, on the whole, not everyone, privileged people, considering the middle class is just being destroyed. Upper middle class, they're even struggling. People are going to start getting very angry. And we're going to see violent chaos like never before. Yeah. So, here Coloradans worried land could be sold where their mobile homes sit in Littleton.
We're in Littleton. Alan Janae joins us live now from Meadowood Village. And Alan, these people feared their rent would rise steeply if their property were sold to a company that was offering big money for it.
Yeah, that big money, $18 million, the offer for this property. About 120 or so residents of this mobile home park came together and put together their own offer. They own their mobile homes here. What they don't own is the 12.5 acres of land beneath it. But in getting their offer accepted, they seem to have outmaneuvered a very big company that owns double or dozens, that should be, of mobile home parks around the country.
Right. Okay. Why isn't Congress doing anything to protect these people? Because this is part of the plan. This is part of the plan to destroy Americans and get them homeless. It would be very easy, considering that we're just a lawless nation at this point. But hey, draft legislation, investment firms and banks cannot just be buying up all of these mobile home parks because it's affordable housing. You have these investment firms buying these places up, and they end up, and I've played it on lives. Suddenly, their lot fees skyrocket and people can't afford it. From 400 to 900. It could be stopped, but it's not going to be. All right, so yeah, another night of fabulous, fabulous news. And I never even got to the things that I actually wanted to get to. So I hope to see you tomorrow night. I thank you all for showing up. Live honestly, speak honestly. You know, establish yourself as a trustworthy human being. That's how you change the world. Yeah, that's the only way. That's how you get self-respect. And that's when you begin to have real, genuine compassion and care. You're just not mouthing those words. And that's when you get to see, wow, I actually do have a ripple effect. I have a ripple effect in the world. And that ripple effect is very important. How you ripple in the world, how you operate. Your ripple can be good, or just a stagnant lake, you know, filled with an awful lot of scummy stuff by doing nothing and caring about your own self. Or your ripple is actually moving. It's a river of nice stuff, and it's alive, and it's creating goodness. That's what we have to do. Help those in your community. Help the animal shelters, the local animal shelters. Bring them food. Your food pantries. You know, pick up extra food as you're shopping and drop it off at a local food pantry. There are things that people can do. We've got an awful lot of people suffering the weather warfare in an awful lot of areas all over the country. No doubt there are people who are suffering that close to you. Take a drive out, see what you can do. That's what changes the world. It's your choice. And on that note, I had pretty decent, not exhausted energy for a while, and I'm back to exhausted. And wow, the pancake clouds looking pretty weird, pretty not real. Anyway, guys, okay, thank you for showing up. Hope to see you tomorrow night. And on that note, be safe, be prepared, be aware. Good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.